start it again. So I just went and I renamed what was called bluntly simulation in a terribly opaque way to rename it to baseline to reflect the fact that it was using all the default values of parameters. Next, we're going to add in some interventions. The first is going to be called halved contact rate. Oh my goodness. I call it halved, which is not what I wanted to do. Halved. Halved. Okay. Okay. And this one is going to be like the baseline, except that its contact rate is halved. So you notice when I changed it from 1.0 to 0.5, I halved its value. We ended up lowering its impact. So we ended up, having it highlighted for us that we changed it from the default value. Okay, next, we're going to add another one that's going to reflect a shorter recovery from infection. Maybe we'll posit that this is related to speedy delivery, speedy identification of cases, maybe through contact tracing, or maybe through social messaging that brings people into the to clinic sooner, and treatment can be conferred. And we'll posit maybe this is a treatment-mediated infection or an infection like many bacterial, chlamydia or gonorrhea that can be the timing of how quickly you get over it can be much shortened made much briefer by treatment. Okay, so this will be called halved duration of infection intervention. So basically, speedier recovery by a factor of 2. Okay, so all this is we're going to lower the duration of infection from 10 to 5. That's all. 10 to 5. And then we'll have dual intervention. So dual contact rate, infection, duration intervention. Okay. What it lacks in brevity, it makes up for in being intention revealing. So the contact rate is 0.5, and the duration of infection is half of its normal value of 5 points. So therefore 5.0 days. Okay. So we have our baseline, and we have 3 points of comparison in the form of alternative scenarios. So I'm going to run the baseline just to remind ourselves as to what we saw within some specific period of time. And I'll tell you what, I'll teach you a trick. Okay. For one way to do this. My computer is exhibiting computational struggles that are perplexing it. And I'm wondering, like, what is going on here? Besides Zoom, which is a burden of some note. Okay, what I'm going to do here is oh no, I didn't mean to pause. I meant to pause it, not to stop it. Well, okay, maybe I didn't. Maybe I Okay. Okay, it stopped. Yeah. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to run this thing here, run until time X. So I want to run for some baseline amount of time. I'm going to run this for 3650 days. It's 10 years. 10 years, folks. Let's give that a try. This is unrehearsed. I'm going to run it at, oh, okay. I want to go see the model. Okay, there we go. It's still initialized. Oh, no. Oh, that's weird. Okay, yeah. Here we are. So it's ran it for 3,000. So it ran it for 10 years. I just want to take a look at what that looks like. How do I do that? I use this little widget to say run until, and then I press to run it until then. And I did switch. So in case yours isn't showing it, sometimes you're sort of plop back at this thing. You can press this little home button and it will go generally show it to you. So generally speaking, you want to be able to do that. Okay. So I'm gonna go and I want to paste this into this document. Come on. Okay, once again, my computer is really loaded somehow. Okay. There we go. I'm going to save it out. Okay, so this is baseline income infection count. There we go. Okay, get that. And now I'm going to keep an image of that. Here we go. Beautiful. I see it before me. Okay, so now we're going to stop this. We'll do the same for, maybe we'll start with halved contact rate, because that indeed was the order which we started them. So I said run, and I'll call up this developer panel as again. Okay, come on. Come on. Yep. Come on, wait. Come on. Really curious why. Okay, there we go. I think there's some other process running in a browser that's take a lot of time. Okay, I'm going to pause it, and then I'm going to do that same trick. There we go. Notice it's not fully paused yet. But okay, it says pause at, it's, looks like it's still, so I'm going to pause it. Okay. And I will indicate, hey, come on. We'll have a break shortly, and then I'll be able to find out what's taking all this time on my computer. Okay, come on. Run until 3650. It's time 3650. This one will be run for a certain amount of time. This is run until a certain time. And that indeed is what I want. And I want to speed this up to go full tilt. Huh? Oh my gosh. It went beyond that. Come on. It's like it okay. It ignored. Come on. Come on. Okay. So I stopped it. Maybe this time from the get go. No. Okay, so I'm not sure why it's not doing as my bidding. I'm gonna start it again. Somehow it seemed to get in a state where it was. There is a way to start it so that it doesn't immediately start running, which in this case might have given me a clearer shot at getting it paused. Okay, I'm gonna get it paused. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. Mm. And then I want to run it until time 3650. And then I want to run it full tilt. Okay. Pardon me. I'm just really perplexed why what this is competing with, taking so much time. It is. I'm sorely tempted to go kill something else on my computer, but I come on. Okay. Now we're done. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So here we lowered infection contact rate, rather. And question is, so this is baseline, top one. You can't see it, but I'll superimpose it here in just a sec. This is with a same time, but with halved contact rate. Halved contact rate. There we go. And I'm going to bring in this. Hey, that's not what I want. Come on. Okay. Come on. This is, hey, get back here. Okay. Yep. Okay, well, oh, come on. Okay. Now I want to try to look at this. Okay. So let's see if we can make out any differences. First appearance, it looks very, very similar. This is the baseline. This is the baseline here on the right. And what we see on the left is the get rid of this. What we see on the right or the left is the alternative scenario. Okay. Maybe I can futz with this to save a bit of screen real estate. Okay. So in the baseline, we had about 60, looks roughly like the median here. Here it's somewhere upwards of 50, but pretty darn close. On the upper side, in both cases, you had a large number of people with 0. And then you had sort of this plateau, for whatever it's worth, between about 1200, 1600, and about 20 with the baseline. And with this, you have that same plateau, but it's down about 10 times. Not surprisingly, it's about half of that. When you get to about 800 sort of dollars of income per time unit, in this case, or let's say per month, you get about 40 here infections with the intervention, and pretty similar here, except you have maybe closer to 50. The knee of the curve is kind of roughly around 600, and it's roughly around 600 here. So pretty similar, just brought down a bit in its size. Okay. So with the same idea in mind, I think I will go, and maybe in the interest of time, we'll do, because I want to get people a break here, we'll do the dual rather than doing separately the infection duration and the and then the dual. Okay, so what I want to do is pause it here. Come on. Okay. Make sure it's really paused. Yeah. Okay. Run until 3650 days. I'm pressing enter. And I want to run it at full speed. There we go. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That looks a bit different. Well, looky that. Quite different. We have, again, a shared characteristic beyond a certain income. No. Between 1200 and 1600, you could say there's a plateau, but that plateau is almost held in common across the population, except for some lower income, which are up to 2 cumulative infections by this time. The association between income on the one hand and infection count still retains the general advantage or general feature that as you increase income, the number of infections tends to go down. But what you see is a strikingly different pattern, given that we halved contact rate and halved infection duration. You see a collapse in the number of infections that have occurred. You may remember with the baseline, it was somewhere around 60 for very low income individuals. Here it's around 1, with some up at 2. So food for thought. Now, there's a natural question. Could this be the result of something like mere chance, that it happened to die out, for example? And I'm going to see if I could start it. Okay, yeah. Okay. I was hoping I could get it to avoid running it first. Okay. So again, opening the developer panel here, I want to go run the same one again. Let it stop running. Takes a bit of time, typically. Run to 3650. And the best way to do it is press enter on this and run it at full speed. Oh, wait a minute. It doesn't seem like Doesn't seem like it. I'm not sure it did it. Did it, in fact? Yes, I think it did pay attention to that, but I stopped it prematurely. Okay, so I may want to do that again here. Oh, come on. Yeah. But you could see just from by appearances, I mean, this is a very different context. We do have some people transmitting, but oh, okay. It did finish, and it just was delayed in telling me that. And then I set it going again at time 3650, and before looking at it. I think the results, though, are pretty obvious here. The infection is almost non-existent within this. It's you know dramatically lower prevalence, and I would expect the curve to reflect that in terms of number of infections that have occurred um, over time for different individuals. So I'm killing this so that we can restart that without me making the mistake of pressing something thinking it didn't pay attention. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna open that up again. Mm-hmm. Pause. Six, 5, 0. And this time, give it plenty of latitude. It does report it's running till then. And I'm going to speed it up by put in virtual time mode. And we'll give it a bit of time to run. Pardon me, while it does that, I'm just going to. Okay, Zoom is taking a massive amount of time. Chrome also, not surprisingly. But otherwise, it doesn't seem that anything is too misbehaved. Okay. Chrome, it's probably running this in Chrome, but okay, come on. Okay, well, we may have to leave this to running over the break here. It is, I see, it actually says it's paused here. So I'm a little bit perplexed. I don't want to make the same mistake again. But it does seem to be saying it's paused. So I'm gonna try one more go at it. There we go. Now it's done. And there it is. Once again, that same pattern is borne out. So we've had a total collapse of the infection. We've had a marked reduction from the total amount of infection, because of these two changes superimposed. And I would hazard a guess, although I haven't investigated it here, that just a halved duration of infection will not be, just like halved contact rate was not enough to collapse the amount of infection. It moved it down in a sort of qualitative level. You notice you could use the pause judgment there. Yeah, so maybe that it's thrashing memory. That's a good, or that it's not thrashing. It may be that it's just trying to make use of a small amount of memory allocated to it, and it's needing to work mightily in what's called garbage collection to do that. Allocating it more memory might really, really help. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to run this one for that and put it in virtual time mode. And we'll see if that lets this converge really, really quickly. Jeff, did that help? Given that you're exhibiting it as well, I'm thinking it's probably something about the memory. That sounds reasonable, that it's not something about any one computer. It's probably about the so-called Java virtual machine here. And
Yeah, I wasn't able to pause it in time, and it's already ran for over 5 million days. So that does seem to be helping in terms of speed.
okay, yeah. Um, okay, so you're saying the amount of memory. What did you do? Double it?
I raged up to 2048.
24 gig? Is that right?
Yeah, 2048 megabytes.
Oh, okay.
Or
2 gig.
yeah.
2 gig. Yeah. Okay. Um, okay. Well, I'm going to, I think, kill that. This is a even better way to kill it. Good. So I will go and allocate more memory. It's a good lesson. We're going to try that. And maybe I will speculatively, before I push it out to people, go allocate that for all the experiments, all the scenarios, because I suspect, based on those observations, that it's very likely to yield salutary benefit. So I'm just rerunning that particular one, and we're going to try to see if, admittedly, slightly anecdotally, but repeated from other people's, if that helps. So I'm going to run it for 3650 days and run it at full speed. And there it is. Worked like a charm. Okay. Okay, well, one thing that's interesting though here is, yes, there's a large number of people currently infected, which is a little bit unusual, but it ran it through that. This is the halved duration, and it actually seemed to materially lower that cumulative spread very, very significantly. It looks like indeed that one intervention, it surprises me, but that one intervention appears to have really reduced the spread. more so than having contact pattern. Maybe that makes sense because contacts max out. In other words, if you have so many contacts, you will tend to you can have them, but you'll still infect tons of people. Whereas if you recover that much faster and half the time, that's going to, well, it'll reduce the number of contacts you can have also, I would expect, by about factor of 2 over the course of your infection. Okay, now I made a mistake of putting it in virtual time mode first. Here we are. Yeah, and this is just going gangbusters again with a halved contact. I didn't stop it at 3650, but it seems that is the trick. So in other words, allocate it more memory. And it does seem that this halved duration of infection really makes a material difference. It seems to allow for vastly lower burden of infection spread vis-a-vis have contact rate, which I'd really want to think about. And I'll run one more time for that. Here we go. And put it in full. Okay. There we go. And once again, that is showing just from that one change, default duration of infection being half its value in the baseline, we are having markedly lower levels of infection in the population. It's clearly dying out much sooner and therefore doesn't circulate endemically. Okay. Think that's all we have time for this particular component. I think we'll take a 10-minute break and we'll be back at 1:30 here, and we will start going again here. Okay. Thank you, everyone. See you in 10 minutes.